Hi! Today I'm doing a review, and it's the first I'm going to do in kind of like a series of reviews, basically about YA and young adult and NA, new adult, which is kind of a very popular genre at the moment. Kind of contemporary normal fiction, and I've read a lot of these books in the last year, and I'm going to bring you through some of my favourites and some of the ones that aren't so good. And today's topic is my favourite YA and NA normal fiction books. By the way, the order doesn't matter. Like I won't be able to rank them. It's just the order I'm describing them in. Okay, so there are 6 in this list, and if you want to skip ahead to any specific book, just check the description box below. So the first one I'm going to talk about, which is one of my favourites, is a book that's been read by a lot of people, Beautiful Disaster by Maguire. Now this book is about a couple called Abby and Travis, and for the majority of the book anyway, they're just kind of friends, and the book follows them as they get to know each other more, and it basically begins with a bet. Anyway, there's a bet between the two of them, and basically Abby has to live with him for a month as part of the bet, and then we just read about them together, and oh my god, I fell in love with this, all the characters in the book and their interactions and the relationships. I absolutely adored it, and admittedly I did prefer the first half more because it was just based on a friendship, and it was so cute and sweet. And then, the book's called Beautiful Disaster, so I kept waiting for the disaster part to happen, and at last it did. So the second half of the book was a bit more angsty and emotional. I only had one little negative, and that was that Travis, he became a little bit clingy and possessive and a bit too dependent on Abby after a while. That was the only negative really, but besides that I thought it was a great book. Such a good NA read, I suppose, and I definitely enjoyed it. And the author brought out a second book called Walking Disaster from Travis's point of view. I don't know why every single author now of this type of genre is doing that now, bringing out the same exact story just from the male character's point of view. And they all say, oh, it's not just a retelling, it's like completely new scenes. But there are a few new scenes, but I wasn't crazy at Walking Disaster. I just kind of skip it. If you love Beautiful Disaster, I wouldn't bother reading Walking Disaster unless you really, really, really want to. But I mean, you're not going to lose anything if you don't read it, except maybe the epilogue. Yeah, the epilogue you might want to check out. But besides that, I don't think you really need to read it. But yeah, Beautiful Disaster is definitely one of my favourites now. The second book I'm going to talk about, or series, is it's 2 books by Gayle Foreman, kind of like a 2-part series, If I Stay and Where She Went. Now, I already did a review on these books, so go to this link if you want to hear a bit more about them. Both are just such a good read, and they won awards and everything, and they deserve it, and oh my god, you'd really enjoy these books. The next book I'm going to talk about is called Going Too Far by Jenifer Echols. I loved this book, and I wasn't expecting anything major from it. It's about Meg, and she's kind of like a troublemaker, but I really love her character because there's constant hints about her past and what happened to her in the past, and I love that with her character. There's some depth there, and the male character in it as well. He's not very straightforward either, so there is a bit of kind of complexity to them too as characters, which is always good. But yeah, so Meg, she gets in trouble, and this cop called John, he decides to bring her around for a week in his car, to try and teach her a lesson and make her behave better. And then I just thought Meg and John were going to have this big sordid affair, and I expected him to be a lot older, and at first I was disappointed he was kind of younger than I thought, but in the end it worked out really well. But it was the opposite of this big sordid affair. They had the sweetest relationship, and I thought this book was paced perfectly, with just really readable characters and lovely relationship. And I just adored it. Like, I told my sister I loved it so much, and she was like, "What's it about?" And I was telling her the story, and she was like, "That doesn't sound very great." But like, once you read it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just written so well. So yeah, it's a simple enough story, but I just really enjoyed it. The only negative I had is I wanted to see a little bit more into the future at the end, like maybe get a little epilogue, and we don't get that, but it's still a really nice ending. And yeah, this is definitely one now I have to reread in the next couple of weeks. So the next book I'm talking about is called Such a Rush, and this is also by Jenifer Echols. And I read this after reading Going Too Far, and a few weeks later I think, and I was hoping it would be as good as Going Too Far, and thankfully it was. It was brilliant. I love how the characters in these books, like in her books, are so complicated you almost need a psychology degree to understand them. But I kind of liked that, and the story, there was a bit more to this story, and it was good. And there's kind of like 3 main characters, and they're all really likeable, and you want them all to be happy in the end. And the ending, it just made me smile. It was just a really nice ending, and the relationships in it are complex and enjoyable to see develop. This book is about a girl called Leah, and she works as kind of a pilot in this kind of the helicopters that bring the banner messages behind them, or the planes, sorry, that bring the banner messages behind them. She works for a man who runs a company that does that, and at the very beginning of the book he dies, and the company's left to his 2 sons, and they don't really like her and she doesn't really like them, but they have to work together. And then we see how their relationships kind of develop and get complex, and yeah, so it focuses around these 3 young people as pilots, and it's just a really good story, and great characters. So yeah, definitely another one that's well worth the read. So the 5th book that I'm going to mention that I absolutely adored is called Some Girls Are by Courtney Summers. Now I've already kind of discussed this book as well, so you can go to this link to hear about it a bit more in detail, but I just loved it because it was so dark and emotional, but it just had a good story, and it had just really good characters in there, and like a lot of people said they couldn't enjoy it because it was so like tough to read at times, but I thought it was great and I really liked it, and I've been looking for books similar to this ever since, and I can't really find one that's like this. So I would recommend this one too. And final book that I found was one of my favourites in this kind of genre is called Betwixt by Melissa Pearl. I don't know what it was with this book, but I absolutely loved it. From beginning to end, I loved it. So it's about a girl called Nicole, and she kind of starts off as, like, basically she's the bitch. She's the bitch in high school, and everyone just kind of fears her. And at the beginning she gets into an accident, someone knocks her down, she's left unconscious at the end of this like ditch, and she kind of has an out of body experience, so her spirit is still wandering around, and she has to find someone to help her to find her body before she dies, and the only person who can hear her, he can't even see her, the only person who can hear her is this guy called Dale, who she basically bullied and, you know, gave him a horrible nickname the whole school calls them, and yeah, so they don't get along, but they have to work together to try and find her body, and oh my god, it was just so good. The story and the characters developed well, it developed like a pace perfectly, and it built to an exciting, heartwarming and a really satisfying ending. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Other people mightn't get as excited about it, but there was just something about it that I just found really enjoyable. So yeah, so they're the 6 books that would be my favourite at the moment in that kind of YA in a general fiction genre. I'd love to know what your favourites are. Are there any on the list? Are there other different ones? And that's that. So the next video I'll be doing in this kind of series of reviews are my books I'd consider very good in this genre. So they wouldn't be my favourites, but I'd consider them very good. And I have a good few to discuss in that. So thank you very much for watching, and tune in to my next one.